They think you're stupid. They think you'll swallow whatever lies they'll push on mainstream media. A school shooting. A mayor on camera with his perfectly timed, rehearsed fake crying. A shooter who identified himself as trans. 2 dead, 17 wounded. A neat package narrative, designed to make you feel 2 things, heartbreak and a demand for someone to take away your right to own a firearm. But what if the heartbreak is real, and the story is a complete lie? What if every single thing you're being told is a carefully constructed script to hide an uglier truth? Let's break this down, without the media's protective filters. First, the shooter, Robin Westman, a transgender. The media will run a story about a straight white male shooter for weeks. They'll plaster his face everywhere, analyze his manifesto, and use him to demonize an entire political movement. But when the shooter is transgender? Crickets. Mainstream media conveniently hid the transgender part, since it's an inconvenient truth that destroys their narrative. Why? Because it points to a severe mental health and identity crisis, not the political boogeyman they want you to fear. Westman left behind videos and journals, some written in coded language, laying out his intentions. Weapons were marked with disturbing phrases. Kill Donald Trump. Slogans like 6 million wasn't enough. Talk of Gaza. Cleverly placed to immediately pivot the entire media narrative, to make Jews the victims, even though the actual victims were Christian children at a mass. Westman didn't just grab a gun and run wild. He carefully staged the entire event. Hours before the attack, he prepared and released videos walking viewers through his handwritten journals. These weren't sloppy. They were crisp, overhead shots of his coded manifesto, lit evenly, so every line of writing could be read. Anyone who has worked with cameras knows how difficult it is to achieve that kind of clean top-down angle without casting harsh shadows. It requires planning, equipment, and technical know-how. This raises the question, did he have help? Either way, it wasn't the behavior of a confused loner acting on impulse. And of course he ends his own life. No arrest, no trial, no messy questions, just a dead patsy. This is exactly their playbook. It's the same ending we saw, with the Unabomber, a CIA mind control experiment gone rogue. It's the same ending we saw with Lee Harvey Oswald, another patsy who was silenced before he could talk. It's the same pattern we see again and again. The shooter is always on a list, always known to the FBI or CIA, and always conveniently dead before he can talk. Bill Cooper, a former naval intelligence officer, warned us about this exact scenario decades ago. He exposed a CIA program called Operation Orion. The goal? To flood the streets with weapons, pump unstable people full of psychiatric drugs, and then plant the suggestion to open fire on schools. The ultimate goal? To terrify the American public into voluntarily surrendering their Second Amendment rights. Cooper tied it directly to MK Ultra, to trauma-based mind control, to the fracturing of personalities, to create perfect, controllable assets. Look at Westman's own journal. He draws himself staring into a mirror, but his reflection is a horned, skeletal demon. This isn't just teenage angst. This is the language of possession. This is what victims of MK Ultra and ritual abuse describe: a mind shattered and invaded, a personality taken over by something else. Was Westman a broken soul, or was he a broken asset? A programmed weapon pointed at a church and triggered on cue. Now look at his family. The father, James, a 30-year veteran of SSRI, a top geospatial intelligence contractor for the Pentagon and the CIA. And the mother? A behavioral psychologist? A professional trained in understanding and influencing human behavior? And if you look at the family photos, Robin Westman bore no physical resemblance to his alleged parents. This raises monumental questions about his origins, his upbringing, and what influences were shaping his fractured mind. And you will never hear the mainstream media ask the most obvious question. What about the SSRIs, the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, the mind-altering prescription drugs that are a common thread in nearly every single one of these mass shootings? These drugs can induce violent psychosis, suicidal ideation, and homicidal rage. It's the elephant in the room. The media is paid to ignore, and instead they push for banning your God-given right to own a firearm. On his weapon, there was a chilling message, sponsored by BlackRock. This is not random. This is a signature. Remember the kid who tried to assassinate Trump in Pennsylvania? Thomas Crooks. He was in a BlackRock commercial. Coincidence? There are no coincidences at this level. BlackRock is a globalist financial empire, one of the key architects of the ESG, the social credit system designed to control you. This is a message. It's them telling you who owns the narrative, who funds the chaos. And if you think the 217 symbolism is a coincidence, you haven't been paying attention. Just weeks before this shooting, a film called Weapons was released. Its plot, 17 children vanishing at 2:17 in the morning, paired with surreal imagery of a floating AR-15 marked with 217. The Minneapolis attack left 2 dead and 17 wounded. This is predictive programming. This is them laughing in your face, showing you it's all a script. And when researchers found a 2012 court record, showing the shooter's parents filing for divorce without children, even though Robin was 10 years old at the time, what happened? The record was scrubbed from the internet within hours. They are hiding his origins, because his origins are part of the story. In conclusion, when you strip away the noise, here's what we know. A deeply disturbed young man, possibly chemically influenced and psychologically manipulated, meticulously planned and executed an attack on a children's mass, leaving 2 dead and 17 injured. He left behind a trail of staged videos, cryptic writings, anti-Semitic misdirection, and weapon graffiti designed to be noticed. Individually, these details might be explained away. Together, they form a pattern that cannot be ignored. The mainstream media bent the story into convenient political angles, while ignoring everything that matters. They claim to want safety, but history tells a different story. The Second Amendment isn't about duck hunting. It's the last line of defense against tyranny. Every dictator knows this. That's why Hitler, Stalin, Mao, and Castro all disarmed their citizens first. An armed citizenry is the final check on power, keeping it where it belongs, with the people. This is precisely why a power-hungry establishment seeks to eradicate it. For the families who lost children, the pain is beyond comprehension. For the rest of us, the only responsible response is to keep asking questions. Because when the official story leaves this many holes, silence is complicity.
And a federal ban on assault weapons.